Kwame first feels it as a small chill. After they make love, Amara rises, smiles, and locks the bedroom door from inside before she sleeps. She does it every time. The click stays in his ear like a question. He tells himself it is nothing, but the fear grows. He starts to watch patterns. On Tuesday night she comes home late, sea salt in her hair, saying the traffic from Lemba Bridge was bad. On Thursdays he finds a new receipt in the trash that does not match any shop she uses, a boutique in Motsi Market where she never takes him. He writes dates in a notebook and circles times that do not fit. One morning, near the town gate where the buses turn, he finds a lipstick the color of hibiscus, a brand Amara never wears. He leaves it where it fell, then returns at dusk and it is still there, bright as a wound on the sand. He begins a quiet investigation that hurts even as he does it. He checks pockets while folding laundry. He counts coins in her purse. He studies her shoes for dust the color of streets she has not named. His love feels like a house with lights on but no voices. He misses their laughter over boiled cassava and late-night radio. He wants to ask, yet the words freeze. Instead he listens for keys, for new perfumes, for the way she looks past him when he speaks. The door clicks again. Sleep does not come. The day the courier comes, Kwame is buying cassava flour near Motsi Market. The man in a faded cap asks for Amara by name and points to a small boutique with glass flowers on the door. Kwame's heart jumps. He signs for the package because the shopkeeper says he is the husband, isn't he, and the courier is already leaving. The box is light, wrapped in brown paper, tied with white string. He carries it home as if it could explode. At the kitchen table he turns it in his hands, reads the label twice, and tells himself he will only check for safety. Inside, cushioned by cotton, lies a single key on a silver ring. The metal is new. The engraving is not for their house. It shows a tiny sun and the letters ZA3. His own keys feel heavy now. He closes the box and waits for Amara, but that night she says she is tired and she sleeps early. The key burns in his pocket like a secret coal. In the morning he goes back to the boutique, smiles, and asks about the package. The owner, a woman with blue nails, shrugs and says a courier stopped by, no return address. She looks curious but not cruel. Kwame thanks her and steps into the heat. He tries every locksmith he knows, asking about the sun mark. On the third try an old man says some apartment blocks stamp that symbol on their locks, the ones near the old cinema and the mango trees. Kwame walks that way, listening. He finds a narrow building with plants hanging from balconies and a courtyard that smells of soap and fried fish. Children kick a ball. A neighbor with a woven basket says there is a woman who comes late and leaves early, always in a hurry, laughing at night with a bright, quick laugh. The laugh sounds like a memory to him. He climbs the stairs slow, the rail warm under his hand. On the third floor he sees a door with a lock that matches the engraving. He does not try the key. He only presses his palm to the wood and feels the faint vibration of music inside, like someone humming while folding clothes. He steps back and waits by the stairs until evening. Several people pass, but when a woman in a headscarf comes, she pauses and smiles softly. She has a kind laugh, the woman says, as if feeling his question. She sounds like the sea. The words make his chest tight. He leaves before the door opens. That night, Amara laughs at a joke on the radio, and it is the same laugh. He knows it now like a song. He lies awake with the spare key under his pillow, staring at the ceiling, trying to decide if the truth will heal him or cut him open. Kwame stays up later than usual, sitting with his phone under the lamp, because sleep now brings only questions. He learns the small ways to look without being seen. He types Amara's name into the search bar and watches the results blink like a slow tide. He notices she uses the same two words in different places, a private nickname and a date code. One night he finds a pattern of late searches for safety laws and emergency numbers. Another night he sees her typing and then deleting, fingers moving fast, the screen going black as if hiding a secret. He begins to watch her devices when she leaves them. He guesses passwords from old birthdays and the names of places they loved. Sometimes he is wrong and the phone locks him out. Other times he hits on one and the small lights at the top of the screen show new things. He finds an erased call log. Someone had cleared it, a clean sweep like a hand erasing chalk. He studies the times around the missing calls and traces them to nights she came home smelling of other streets. He learns to look in hidden places, in the storage menu and in message caches. He finds an app that she never speaks of, a plain icon that hides bright conversations. When he opens it, he sees a different life in short texts that read like notes in code. They use phrases that mean time and place. They sign off with a name he did not know she used, Zawadi. The messages speak of meetings and safe words and a line about the old Zuri cafe in Nyala. That name hits him like a stone. He remembers the cafe from a trip, the cracked tiles and the small stage where folk singers play on Tuesday nights. He reads the messages again and again until the words lose shape and become only meaning. There are plans, not lovers. The tone is urgent. People check in and confirm, and someone thanks Zawadi for the help. Kwame feels his mind split between relief and anger. He wants to shout and ask and break everything, and yet something in the messages suggests danger if he speaks too loud. Confronting Amara would not be simple. If these are operations, his questions could ruin them. So he chooses another way. He begins to record instead of accuse. He uses his old phone to capture screenshots and time stamps. He sits in the dark with a cheap recorder in his pocket when she says she goes to the market and follows faint online clues to the Zuri cafe. He watches from a distance and makes notes. He learns the code words and the times of meetings. He prepares to catch the truth in the open, not to destroy it in private. Each night he holds evidence like a fragile thing, knowing that when he finally uses it he will either save what she tries to hide or destroy the last safe part of their life together. Kwame tucks the spare key into his coat pocket like a secret and follows Amara one rainy night, the rain making everything shine and shaky. He keeps to the dark edges of the street, under umbrellas, watching her move faster than usual, hair pinned up, shoes clicking against wet pavement. She turns down a wide road he never takes with her and walks into the Mambala Art Center where lights spill like a small city. He stays back until she goes through a glass door and then he finds a place in the crowd a few rows away, feeling like a man who has watched his house through keyholes for weeks. Inside the hall the air smells of perfume and food and expensive things. People in suits talk in low voices. A band plays and someone on stage talks about giving and helping. Then the program calls her name, Zawadi K. The sound is like a hand on his chest. Amara moves forward the way a different person might move, with a steady face and a calm small smile. She is no longer the woman who forgets to water the potted plant. A spotlight finds her. She stands at the podium and the room begins to lean into her words. Photographers lift their cameras like birds. They call her director, founder, the woman who set up rescue shelters and legal help for people who had nowhere else to go. They tell a story of courage and quiet plans that saved lives. Kwame hears applause and then the click of cameras and then a voice on a mic that says she prefers to be called Zawadi in public work. Someone near him whispers, so that a light and sharp wind of gossip brushes his face. He wants to stand up and shout that she is his wife, that she locks their door and laughs like a child. Instead he sits and listens, and his chest is full of strange feelings. After the gala, pictures move fast. A video of Amara speaking and smiling is uploaded and reshared. The headline at first is admiring, wife turns out to be leader. Then a rougher voice finds the story and spreads it with a sneer. Wife by dusk, philanthropist by night, someone types, and the words spread like a match in dry grass. The village phone lines light up. Messages pass through Lemba faster than the rain could wash them away. People point on the street. The boutique owner gossips with the market sellers. Friends send Kwame links with laughing emojis and question marks. For every hand that claps, there is another that whispers a doubt. Photographers tag faces, and strangers close to her work post praise and confusion alike. The footage goes viral beyond what he expected, small screens making big judgments. Kwame sits with the spare key cold against his leg and watches his life change in the glow of other people watching. He feels like a witness and a criminal at once. The world sees the shine, not the nights of locked doors. The viral storm begins and he realizes that whatever truth he planned to hold back will not stay private much longer. Kwame opens his phone and the world narrows to messages and files. The nice video from the gala keeps replaying on his screen until the applause in it sounds like a jury. He follows threads in the hidden app and finds photos of men with shaved heads and bruised faces, notes about safe houses, and short reports stamped with police codes. He reads names that ring like alarms. At first he thinks these are charity case files. Then he finds a list with times, places, and the words operation and sting beside them. His fingers shake as he reads a report that describes a late-night raid at a rundown guest house. Names on the paper match the call logs he found erased from Amara's phone. There are maps drawn by hand. There are messages that call her Zawadi in bold. He understands, in a terrible rush, that her secrecy is not for comfort or pleasure. It is for safety. He traces a name in the messages to a short video where a plain man in a hood stands before a camera and thanks Zawadi for saving his life. He sees police badges in blurred pictures. He reads a message from an anonymous officer who writes, in careful words, that public exposure would endanger witnesses and ruin investigations. Kwame sits on the floor and lets the phone fall onto his lap. The man he had imagined at night with another woman is instead a shield for people who cannot speak. The betrayal he felt bends into something else. He thinks of the lipstick at the gate, the spare key, the late laughs. They were part of a code he did not know how to read. He also finds a darker side. Someone in the shadows hates Zawadi. There are posts that twist her image, a forged photograph, a paid article that hints at an affair with a foreign donor. The smear moves fast. People who never met Amara write cruel jokes and make her a story about shame and secrecy. The real work she did for ruined lives is drowned by noise. Kwame feels anger rise like heat. He sees how easy it is for truth to be cut into pieces and sold as scandal. He thinks of the victims whose faces he saw in the files, the quiet thanks from an officer who warned him not to post anything. The choice that seems simple in the market now feels muddy. If he tells the full truth, he might stop the lies, but he could also endanger people who trusted Zawadi. If he keeps the secret, he protects lives but watches his own name be mocked and his marriage become gossip. The village talks as if it owns them both. He realizes the world wants a villain and a hero, not a hard, dangerous gray where justice hides. He sits very still, holding evidence that could save or kill, and the weight of it makes his whole body ache. The tabloid story hits like a slap. One morning Kwame scrolls through his phone and sees a headline that is not true. It says Amara took money from a foreign donor and hid a secret life for her own gain. The article uses a photo that looks real but is altered. The market vendors laugh and send him screenshots. Friends text him for proof and neighbors whisper when he walks by. At first he keeps quiet because he has seen the files that show the danger behind her secrecy. He remembers the bruised faces and the police notes and the thank you video from a man who would have been killed if exposed. He keeps that in his chest like a frozen thing. But the more people laugh, the angrier he becomes. Silence was once his way to protect her. Now it feels like a cover for lies that ruin her work and the people she helps. A cousin calls and says she should answer the accusations. A friend from church says marriage means honesty. The shopkeeper who gave him the spare key says, "You must clear your name." The voices pile up until his quiet protection feels small and weak. He thinks of the mothers who found shelter because of Amara. He thinks of the witnesses who risked their lives to speak. He thinks of the children in the files who will lose a safe place if donors withdraw. He also thinks of himself standing at the center of gossip, his dignity shredded by people who never asked. He wants to shout the truth to the plaza and throw the files down so everyone can see. He imagines the tabloids printing his side and people nodding with new certainty. But he remembers the officer who warned him that a public fight could undo months of careful planning. A wrong name in the press could send people running into danger. He sits in the dark and turns the choice over like a coin. If he exposes everything, he saves his pride and tells the village the full story, but he might reveal safe houses and allies. If he stays silent, the world will keep telling the wrong story and his marriage will be a topic for strangers. He thinks of Amara sleeping with the door locked, of her laugh in the market, of the way she walks when she pretends not to notice his stares. He thinks of love that is not simple. The pressure from outside grows to a roar. People demand proof now. His silence cracks and anger floods in. He wants to protect what she has built, but he also wants the truth to be seen. In the place where those two wants meet, he knows a decision must be made. The cost will be high no matter which road he takes, and the people who need protection are already counting on the choice he makes. The night in Kibo felt bigger than a town. The hall was full, lights bright, cameras turning, and Kwame walked like a man holding a secret too heavy to hide. He had the spare key in his pocket and a small stack of files and a USB stick in his hand. He had rehearsed nothing. His legs shook as he climbed the stage steps and the microphone made his voice rough at first. He said he had come to tell the truth, not to feed gossip, and then he laid out what he knew. He played first a short clip from a sting tape where plain men and women, not heroes, were brought to safety and where officers thanked a woman called Zawadi for keeping the plan quiet. He showed documents stamped by police and photos of a raid that led to arrests of men whose faces had been in the hidden app. The room went quiet as if it had been holding its breath. Donors who had only seen headlines now watched faces and places they could not unsee. Someone in the front row began to sob. The TV cameras flashed and the live feed carried his words into living rooms across the country. Then Kwame named the smear. He had proof that a tabloid had been paid to run a false story, a photo doctored and a donor invented to make a scandal. He showed a chain of messages and a payment note. The reporter who had laughed in the market could not laugh now. The audience gasped and some people rose as if to leave, then sat because they wanted to hear more. At the edge of the stage Amara stood. She was pale, and she had a mark at her temple from a late night, but she walked forward steadier than he expected. She took the spare key from his hand and held it like a small tool that had opened doors to safety. When she spoke she did not ask for forgiveness. She explained why she used another name, why she hid meetings, and why secrecy was the only shield for people who had no power. Her voice was quiet and full. She told a story of mothers who would have been found, of children who would have had nowhere to go, of witnesses scared into silence. She said the work was ugly and small and brave, and that it needed to be done without applause. Tears came from different places in the hall. Some donors cried because they had been wrong. Some activists nodded because they finally had names and proof to keep fighting. Outside, the tabloids began to pull the old story, and online the smear started to fade under clips of the raids and the witnesses thanking Zawadi. Kwame felt something in him shift. He had gone to protect his wife and found instead a cause to protect. The crowd that had wanted a scandal now saw the cost of secrecy. Amara did not look like a villain or a saint. She looked like someone who had chosen danger to save others. When they left the stage together the spare key sat in his palm like a new promise. The days after the Kibo night feel like a slow tide turning. The tabloids pull the old lies and new stories spread that say what he already knew: the raids worked, the criminals are jailed, and people who were silent now speak with safe voices. Money comes in, not for glory but for shelters, legal help, and hot meals handed to mothers who once had nowhere to hide. The trust grows into a real thing with offices and quiet rooms where people can sit and breathe. Donors travel from cities they never visited before and sit with the survivors, and the photos that used to shame Amara now show children playing under a bright roof. Kwame and Amara learn what honesty is when the whole town watches. They sign papers together at a desk, answer questions on the radio, and build rules that let him be part of the work without breaking it. Their marriage becomes a public experiment in trust. Some days they argue loudly and then apologize on the porch where neighbors can see. Other nights they hold hands in the market like two people who share a load. The spare key that meant secret now sits on a small tray by their door, unlocked. They leave the door open sometimes just to practice being brave in small ways. People bring food and stories to the house, and sometimes the radio plays a song they both like and they laugh without fear of a hidden life. Still, not everything is fixed. Old habits return sometimes, and both of them carry marks from the cost of secrecy. But their new life is honest about fear and about love. They work together at the trust, dividing tasks, trusting each other with names and schedules, and saying aloud the things they used to hide. The scandal that once threatened to ruin them becomes the thing that saves others, and in that strange trade Kwame finds a kind of pride. In a town called Lemba the doors are open, people walk freely, and two people who nearly lost everything now walk forward as partners, not because secrets are gone, but because truth became stronger than shame.